Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video here on my channel. Today I will be doing a full cage clean on both Luna's and Minou's enclosures. I decided to switch Luna to the DIY enclosure that I made for Minou and move Minou over to the IKEA Linman because it was just better for the both of them. And they are very happy and both of them are not showing any signs of stress. So let's just get into the cage clean. So I start off by taking out the wheel and his water bottle and a hide that I put in his lid that you guys can see in the corner right there, so he can have kind of like a playpen while I'm cleaning his enclosure. But yeah, it was a bit of a struggle because the lid is quite heavy, but it was fine. Then I just took out all of his sprays, which is very, very important for hamsters. If you didn't know, but I will be reusing these sprays because he hasn't eaten all of them, and I will also be adding new ones that are fresh that he can devour within like 10 minutes. So yeah. As y'all can see, I'm taking out all of his dishes and his bendy bridges, practically everything in his enclosure. But this little container was tricky because it was kind of sticky, so it had bedding stuck to it, but I removed that later on in this video. But yeah, I'm taking out everything, as you guys can see. This is actually his first ever cage clean with me. Oh, there he is waking up. This was his first ever setup with me in a proper enclosure, in a proper setup. So I think he's a bit confused, but that's fine. He's about 9 months old and I rescued him off of Facebook Marketplace, and he's a very happy hamster. Sorry guys. But yeah, I'm just taking out everything, and he made such a mess with his cocoa soil. It's so annoying, but he loves it, so I don't blame him. He's a bit confused again, as you can see. He was probably wondering why I'm messing up his house, his enclosure, everything like that. But yeah, after I've taken everything out, I will just put him in his playpen, or kind of a playpen. It's technically his lid, but that's fine. There's his sand bath that I have to sift, and the last couple of pieces. After that, I'm just taking out the bedding that's been underneath his multi-shambrick hideout, because that's where most of his soiled bedding is. If you don't know what soiled bedding is, it's basically dirty bedding that he has used as his own personal restroom. But I'm just checking everywhere and taking out the soiled bedding so it won't smell and it will just be cleaner. And I was also looking for the other stilt that I had underneath the sand bath, but I couldn't find it, which was kind of nerve-wracking. But then I'm putting in his new bedding, which is 100% hemp. Uh, fun fact, I was looking all over to try to find a good hemp bedding that I didn't have to order, because my plan was buying it from another place, but they were all sold out, so I had to like drive around looking for bedding for so long because I want him to have wood shavings that are safe. Hemp is a safe wood shaving. But yeah, I'm just mixing that in with his old bedding to later put in layers of hay. This hay is from a Swedish brand called Vita Kraft, and it's a very safe hay because it's quite soft and like it's not that dusty. It's really good for holding burrows and like making layers. I really, really recommend it, but you need to make sure that the hay is safe, because if you have like rabbit hay, for example, it will be too brass and hard for them, and they can hurt themselves if they try to put it in their cheek. Like it could like hurt them, and it's very important that it's very soft. I saw a person called Nordic Hamsters use this, and she was tipping it, so I decided to buy it and I really like it. The only con with it was that it was some pieces was really brass and hard that I took out, so I was very careful with that. But that's all I need to say to you guys, that if you use this, make sure to look at everything, because some of the pieces was quite hard that I had to remove. But yeah. After I did a layer of this hay again, I decided to put in even more bedding so he could have 10 inches of bedding so he can make burrows and other stuff like that. So I dumped half of this hemp bag and the other half is for Luna later when I clean her enclosure. But yeah, I really liked this bedding. It was quite soft and I hope it makes burrows good. Like, I'm not sure if it will hold burrows that great, but if not, I will probably buy a paper-based bedding to mix it in so the burrows will hold better. But either than that, it was a great price. It wasn't dusty. I just really liked it. So I highly recommend Mini Hemp. Then I just put everything in kind of briefly where I wanted it to be placed and how I wanted it to look. I do this with all of my setups, that I put everything in briefly and then like start from there to put it in like properly, like digging everything down and stuff like that. So I just, first of all, I just put this peekaboo hide or whatever you called it. I made this, but you can probably find it on Amazon, Night Angel. You can probably find it anywhere. You can also make it out of cardboard. I have a cardboard one for Luna, but I made this wood one for Minou because he started chewing on his cardboard one. So yeah, I'm just doing that, and then I'm putting all the platforms in and his multi-chamber hideout and everything like that. Then I've put every platform in except this one, which is from IKEA. I bought this one a really long time ago, and they didn't have the platform ones without the little dots and holes in, but I really recommend them. You can find them on IKEA. They're really cheap. There comes lots of different of sizes, but I would recommend getting the one without the holes, because if you have it exposed, like your hamster can gets like your hamster's toes and paws can get stuck. But I had this underneath his sand bath, so I wasn't worried about that. But it's really important to have heavy items on stilts, because if your hamster makes burrows and tunnels underneath, it won't collapse. If it collapses, your hamster probably will pass away, which is really, really sad. But that's why it's so extremely important to have stilts or platforms underneath heavy items, which I have on all of my heavy items because I don't want that to happen. Now I'm just putting in even more accessories, like hidey houses and everything like that. Here I'm putting in small sticks underneath his cocoa soil substrate because it was quite heavy, and again, if he chooses to make a burrow underneath, I didn't want it to collapse. But yeah. Now I'm just putting in more accessories again, like grapevine wood, bendy bridges, hidey houses, everything like that to make it cluttered and like crowded, because hamsters really, really love clutter because it makes them feel very, very safe and it won't make them as bored. But some hamsters doesn't like clutter. It really depends on your hamster, but most of them like clutter, and I really, really recommend it. It's hard in the beginning when you haven't done it that much, but like after every single setup you do, it would just get easier and easier and easier. But yeah, here I was debating on which hide I was gonna use, but I chose on the rounded one because it looked better, and he really likes that hide. Then I just started like sweeping everything off of the platforms where it was dirty, and I put his water dishes in, which aren't filled up yet. I will fill them up later in the video. But I'm just putting like final touches like moss, sprays, forage, everything like that to make it look aesthetic and make it nice for him. If you don't know what sprays are, it's dried plants, I guess. It's really, really good enrichment and stimulation for hamsters, and every hamster should have it. But yeah. And again, now I'm just putting in his normal forage and then his flower forage, which is from Nordic Hamsters. I really, really recommend them. I love their products. But yeah, then I'm putting in his food dish and a sunflower head, which is great stimulation, and just it's really good for them. It's a boredom breaker, and Minou has never gotten this before, but as soon as I put him in his enclosure, he started like chewing on it, and I'm so happy. He loved it. I really recommend getting these. Mine is from Nordic Hamster, if anybody's wondering. Now I'm just scatter feeding his seed mix, and I'm scattering half in his enclosure, and then I'm putting the other half in his food dish. And then I just put in his water bottle stand, and I gave him fresh water in his bowls and water bottle, and then it's done. So I put him in, and he probably found something to eat as fast as I put him in. But here's a overview of his enclosure. I'm really happy how it turned out, and he really likes it. Now let's go over to Luna's enclosure. So I'm starting off by taking all of her sprays out and to reuse them later and put also new fresh ones in for her. And I'm just taking her sprays out and like moss and everything like that. So as y'all can see, I've taken practically everything out, but I just had to wake up Luna because she hadn't woken up yet. So I picked her up and put her in her carrier, and I took some bedding with her because she doesn't like being picked up, but she feels a lot safer when I pick her up with the bedding that she's in. And the bedding was also soiled, so win-win, I guess. Then I'm just taking out all of the soiled bedding. Luna's bedding is paper based, but I want to switch over to hemp bedding or aspen bedding. And right now I'm using hemp, but yeah, I'm just taking every soiled bedding out, and then I'm just putting the last of the hemp bedding and mixing that in. And now I'm just doing layers of this hay and putting a peekaboo hide right there, so her burrows can hold better. But sadly, Luna doesn't really like to burrow, but I always give her the opportunity to burrow. Even if your hamster doesn't burrow, you should always, always, always give them at least 10 inches of bedding. So if one will change their mind someday, they will have the opportunity, which is really, really important. Just because your hamster doesn't do anything doesn't mean they won't do it in the future. But yeah. Now I'm just putting the bigger items briefly where I want them to be, like her multi-chamber hideout and her sand bath. I didn't have a platform for her sand bath, so I just put stilts. Again, it's so important to have stilts or platforms underneath your heavy items, because if your hamster burrows underneath and it collapses, it's bye-bye hamster. I'm sorry, but it really is. I always give my hamster bigger sand baths than their other substrates because sand baths for hamsters are so important, and I always want them to be as big as possible. Then I'm just putting in her ceramic hide and rocks to help her file down her nails better. I also put in another multi-chamber hideout that I made for her to have two different options, but she always tends to go to the bigger one, but still it's important for her to have two different options. I'm also making a multi-chamber hideout like this one for Minou. I just haven't had the time. But then I'm putting in her cork log and her cardboard substrate that is so easy to make. I highly recommend it. Both Luna and Minou's love this substrate. It's literally just cut up cardboard. It's a bit time consuming, but it's so worth it. I highly recommend it. I am putting in her grapevine wood and this little bridge, and I was also debating on putting in this willow tunnel, but it didn't fit, so I will save that for next time. And as y'all can see, I also put in a little substrate dish of cocoa salt, which Luna also loves. Then I put another dish on top of the multi-chamber hideout to have beach chips in, but I also put in a platform to have her grapevine wood on, because the piece of grapevine wood that she has is a bit heavier than Minou's, so it needs to have a little platform underneath if she decides to burrow. But Luna isn't such a big burrower, but I still want her to have the opportunity to burrow whatever she wants. And now I'm just putting in a bunch of bendy bridges to make it as cluttered as possible, which is really, really important for hamsters to have a cluttered enclosure. And I'm also putting in her water sources, but I'm gonna give her fresh water in those in a few seconds. I'm just putting everything in where I want it to be, and then I'm putting in some moss for a different kind of texture, and then I put in her sprays. I gave her new fresh ones, and I also put in the old ones that she hadn't touched. Her favorite is probably millet and flax seeds. Both of my hamsters go crazy for them. I really, really recommend both millet and flax. My hamsters love them, and I know a lot of other people, hamsters, also really, really love them. Then I got some fresh water for her, and I also gave her fresh sprays that I got from Nordic Hamsters. Then I'm giving her forage, both flower forage and a normal forage with like leaves and other plants in them. The flower forage is from Nordic Hamsters. Again, I really, really recommend them. I love getting stuff from them. And both of my hamsters love their stuff. So here I'm just getting fresh water in her water dishes and putting everything back where it's supposed to be. I'm also giving her a whimsy. I didn't give Minou a whimsy because he doesn't really like them. But here's the final product. I really love this setup, and here's me putting Luna in. She's extremely small. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so, so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!